Hey guys, how's it going? Happy Friday and welcome to the weekend. We have a lot to talk about today. The tea is piping. There's just so much going on in the world. I thought about doing kind of a serious stream to round out a big news week, especially a big news day yesterday. I thought about covering all of the stuff from the Tucker interview, and I thought about covering all of the stuff from Biden last night. We're going to touch a little bit on all of that, but honestly, my brain is just so overwhelmed with insanity that I can't quite begin to discern what I want to say about all of that. So we'll kind of put a pin in half of that for now. We are going to talk about the new live action Avatar: The Last Airbender coming from Netflix this month. I'm really excited about it, or at least I was, until network executives have decided to completely rewrite a ton of the characters because they were sexist, apparently. So we have a lot to unpack there, why I think that's a huge mistake and where they're already losing their entire potential fan base for this really cool, in my opinion, live action remake of one of the greatest TV shows of all time. But before we get into any of that, hi to all of you. I hope everybody had a great week and has some really exciting weekend plans. As you guys know, I moved here to Florida in March and I have yet to see an alligator in the wild. So tomorrow I'm making my fiance take me to the Everglades National Park and we're gonna go see a bunch of gators. So I'm really excited about that. Let me know if you guys want me to turn that into some sort of video that we post somewhere, but I'm sure there will at least be photographic evidence of all of it. You guys, wherever you are watching, take a second if you haven't already and introduce yourself to us in our live chat. We want you guys to be as much of a part of the conversation as me on all of these streams. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for every single time you guys like one of these streams, you share it with somebody else, you hit follow or subscribe on any of these platforms. We are totally independent around here. And when I say we, I mean my team of me and my dog. Say, hi, Libby. Are you just taking a nap on this Friday afternoon? Yes. She's very tired and also angry about Avatar as my little Appa Sky Buffalo impersonator. We like to talk about that. So we're very grateful for you guys and thank you for being a part of our growing family here on the stream and all of our other content as well. We're going to say hi to a few people super quick. Starting over on YouTube, Total Package is watching, says welcome to the Good Life Friday Life. Amen. We've got Naruto watching. We've got Hazel and Joshua and DR tuning in on YouTube. The Ferris Wheel and Your Daddy are kicking things off for us on our Rumble chat. Nitty Witty is starting things over on Getter, and tons of you guys watching on Instagram, which is awesome. We've got Domi watching from Germany. Francesca's watching in Portugal. My sister is visiting Portugal this weekend. She's studying abroad in Spain this semester, and she's in Portugal enjoying all of the beautiful, beautiful scenery that you guys have. I'm incredibly jealous. Regina's watching in Florida. We've got Costa watching in Canada. We've got Caleb in Texas. Creation by Tammy watching in New York. Lots of people from New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia. We've got Rami watching in Lebanon. How freaking cool is that? Mitchy Boy says much love all the way from Australia. Thank you guys. How freaking cool. Joseph's watching in France, all over the freaking world. I love especially our international community here on the stream. It just makes me really, really humbled and happy that we get to have these conversations with people in real time all over the freaking globe. The internet is an amazing thing, and I love that it creates communities that otherwise would never, ever, ever exist. So, as you guys know, I just said this. I thought about doing a more serious stream. I thought about covering the news because there is a lot that happened literally in the last 24 hours that is worth covering on the stream. But truthfully, I don't really know what I quite want to say about all of it yet, so we're going to come back to it on Monday. But in case you missed it, please take the time to go do some research as you kick off the weekend. Last night, the Department of Justice for the Biden administration in Washington, D.C. concluded a months-long investigation into the mishandling and illegal sharing of classified documents by our current president of the United States while he was still vice president, and made the most bizarre, although I don't think it's bizarre, I think it's pointing towards a larger scheme of things that I've been predicting for a long time, but bizarre ruling ever that they are not going to press any criminal charges, even though they concluded the president of the United States willfully did commit a crime in the illegal sharing and handling of classified documents as vice president. because, in their words, his memory is too bad to charge him with a crime. They found that he doesn't remember the year or any of the years around the time that his son Bo died. He can't remember the years that he was vice president. He literally is like a non-functioning human being. And yet 24 hours later, he is still the president of the United States. So that's fun information and points towards a much larger conspiracy in the realm of, I've been saying for 2-3 years at this point, and everyone said I was crazy, that he was not going to be the nominee for 2024, that they were probably going to usher in some opportunity to bring somebody else, Michelle Obama, into the figure as the convention approaches, because the DNC has different rules than the RNC does. I'm just saying, that all happened last night. Meanwhile, there was also a $95 billion aid package approved in the United States Senate last night at the exact same time this DOJ stuff was coming out, that went simultaneously to Taiwan, Ukraine, Israel, and Gaza. So the U.S. is now funding both sides of the Israel-Hamas war, which makes a lot of sense and is pissing everybody off in the process. And in case you missed it last night, the 2-hour unprecedented interview with Tucker Carlson and Russian president dictator, whatever you want to call him, Vladimir Putin, dropped last night, and the clips were wild. Very fascinating interview, like extremely fascinating. If you haven't had a chance to watch any of the clips, they are all over social media. And the full interview, I know, is on X, Twitter, and Tucker Carlson's website as well. So I want to talk about all of those things. We will get to all of those things. But truthfully, I feel like there's a lot more details still to come out, especially about the president of the United States, that I think we should come back to it on Monday and weigh in with a little bit more clarity and a little bit more understanding of everything that's going on, because none of those things are actually that shocking, but there is probably another shoe to drop here in the next couple of days / hours. So we will come back. We will put a pin in that. But there's a different story that I've been wanting to talk about all week, and it's on my mind because you guys might point the finger and say, oh my gosh, you are such a fake fan. You are crazy. How did you go your whole life without seeing this? For the very first time in my entire life right now, I am watching the Nickelodeon anime show from our childhood, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I had seen a few episodes of it here and there as a kid. Honestly, growing up in a family of all girls, we just didn't watch as much Nickelodeon. We tended to watch a lot more Disney Channel shows when we were growing up. So really on Nickelodeon, all we really watched were SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents. We occasionally would watch iCarly and Victorious when that came out later on, but by then I was kind of moved on from kids shows anyway. Really, my childhood was built on Even Stevens Family. Lizzie McGuire still is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. We loved Wizards of Waverly Place and That's So Raven and Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Like, that was our jam in the Brown family household with all three girls. But I didn't watch a whole lot of Nickelodeon. And every once in a while I'd go to like my friend's house. Some of my best friends growing up were twins, a boy and a girl, and I was friends with both of them, and he loved Avatar: The Last Airbender, so he would have it on in the background every once in a while. And so I watched a few episodes here and there, but never sat down to watch the whole show from start to finish all the way through until right now. And it's part of my anime journey. I know it's a little bit different than like Japanese anime because it is an American-based TV show, but many people would regard Avatar: The Last Airbender as the greatest anime of all time. I think Attack on Titan might hold that case for me. But in the last couple of years, because my fiance has been really into anime, I've caught a few different shows. I told you guys earlier this week I watched Hunter x Hunter. That was my first anime. Attack on Titan might be the best TV show ever and is one of my favorite TV shows of all time, up there with Game of Thrones and some of those shows. I've watched a few episodes of Demon Slayer and a few episodes of Full Metal Alchemist, and I'm really liking Full Metal Alchemist so far. But really loving Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, I feel cheated that I didn't watch this as a child as a whole story show all the way through from start to finish. And the reason I'm watching it right now is Netflix is getting ready to drop their new live action remake adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender this month. So I'm on kind of like a race against time to get through all 3 seasons of this show. It's really not that long of a show. to make sure that I know what happens for the live action adaptation that's dropping literally imminently in a matter of a few days. And so I've been so excited about this. I've been like looking at all of the fan forums on the internet. I've been watching all of the social media content, and it's come to my attention in the last few days that the Netflix executives are going out of their way to change the storyline of this show, at least pretty minimally, but I would argue pretty majorly, to try to fit in with woke modern culture and make sure that there are no problematic characters in the TV show of their live action Avatar Last Airbender. If you didn't know that little nugget of information, the show in and of itself still looks really freaking cool. So in case you guys haven't seen the trailer for this, I wanted to show it to you because it looks amazing, and frankly is still kind of worth watching in my opinion, if only for the incredible CGI and imaging and animation that they've been able to do in the show thus far. So just to start, because it looks really freaking cool, even though I'm always mad at Netflix, let's just watch the trailer, because I think that in and of itself is in fact worth watching.
The Fire Nation is embarked on a dark path, and the world might never recover. The world needs the Avatar. It needs you, Aang.
Oh, this is hype! This is so hype! That's so freaking cool.
The Fire Nation has destroyed everything in their path. If the world is gonna have any chance, it's gonna need Aang.
I just love how cute they animated Appa, by the way. Like, I wasn't sure if they were gonna go more in the cutesy direction or kind of like scary looking. Appa is adorable in this CGI animation. I'm so psyched about it.
Right. There goes the savior of the world.
I've chased down every hint of the Avatar. It's my destiny.
The goat.
I'm not someone who can stop the Fire Nation. I don't want the responsibility.
You don't have to do this alone. You have me, Tara, and a flying ball of fur. What more do you need?
And Momo! They even got Momo! Thank goodness.
The world needs you. Remember what it is we're really fighting for. The ones we love.
I'm the Avatar, and I'm gonna save the world. With my friends.
This is so hype. Yes. Yes. Yeah, yes. Yes. Say less. Say no more. I am in. Netflix rarely hooks me, but I am in. That looks so ridiculously cool, like beyond cool. So I see all these trailers. I think that's the newer trailer that just dropped 2 weeks ago. And everybody is talking about how unbelievably hype this is, right? Like, we're so excited. They actually brought one of the greatest animated series of all time to life. It's exactly how we would have closed our eyes and imagined it to look. They typecasted for every single character perfectly. It's perfect. Until it wasn't. And so all these trailers start dropping, but then the cast starts doing interviews to support the launch of the show coming out on February 22nd, so in the next couple of weeks. And the cast drops an absolute bombshell in an interview with Entertainment Weekly, particularly the guy who plays Sokka, Katara's brother, and has a whole lot to say about the new direction of the show as we know it. So this was, again, in an interview with Entertainment Weekly, but Variety magazine ended up writing about it, that the live action Avatar series is intentionally taking out how sexist Sokka was in the original show. I'm sorry. Maybe it's just because I'm watching it for the first time now as an adult and I can understand character arcs and development and complicated storylines a little bit better. But did anyone watching this show as a child or later as an adult have any indication at all that Sokka was sexist? I've never thought that in a million years. First of all, they're children. They're teenagers, like young teenagers. I think they're actually even younger than teenagers when the show starts, aren't they? Aang is like 11. So maybe Sokka's a few years older than him. Young preteen teenager. Who is thinking about whether or not someone is sexist at 11, 12, or 13 years old? Literally, what? All I ever thought about Sokka was that he was like an annoying preteen young teenage boy being a boy. Boys will be boys. He was all up in his own head. He thought he was the coolest thing since sliced bread. He thought everybody else was beneath him, and he had to be regularly humiliated every once in a while and experience having to find the joy in himself by humbling himself to allow for the greatness of the people, namely women around him, to realize that everybody has their own strengths that they bring to the table. But none of that I ever thought was sexist. I just thought he was being an annoying teenage girl or a teenage boy. Right? No, apparently not. That's not what Netflix believes the original Nickelodeon Avatar: The Last Airbender had to say, and neither does the guy cast to portray Sokka in this live action adaptation. So Avatar: The Last Airbender is making its debut on Netflix later this month, and Sokka's sexism, per Variety magazine, will be toned down considerably. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, cast members who play Katara and Sokka informed fans that Sokka's sexism was discussed during the development of the live-action show and was deliberately cut away at, as it has no place in the new remake. The guy who plays Sokka says, "There's more weight with realism in every way." I feel like we also took out the element of how sexist Sokka was. I feel like there were a lot of moments in the show that were, and I quote, iffy. A children's show. A children's cartoon show. People saying that a child was sexist and that it was a really iffy show and really just doesn't belong in culture today. We should just cancel that part of every part of the greatest animated TV show maybe of all time. Naturally, the fan base erupts and becomes really, really, really angry almost instantaneously. People start writing op-eds about this. There's Reddit thread after Reddit thread after Reddit thread saying, "What are you doing?" Because it feels all too deja vu oriented to how they are ruining Star Wars, in my opinion. And we'll come back to Star Wars. We'll come back to some other TV shows because this is a recurring theme out of Hollywood. But correct me if I'm wrong, in the general understanding of the Avatar fan base, everyone understands that Sokka had to have character flaws because without character flaws, there's no opportunity for character development. That his entire arc of a storyline, his entire character development was predicated on the fact that he had to learn humility, he had to be knocked down a few pegs, he had to be embarrassed every once in a while, like every teenage boy, so that he could learn growth and patience and humility and respect for others. You know, normal growing up things for teenage boys. So somebody ends up writing a screen rant op-ed about this. It was published 6 hours ago, and I absolutely love it. That the live-action Last Airbender's Sokka change completely misses the point of his story. And I could not have said this better myself, to be totally honest with you. Although there are good signs that the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender will do well, a recent Sokka change does not bode well for him. I love how they phrased this. Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender is making a change to one crucial element that makes beloved character Sokka so great, and it's completely missing the point of his character arc. While some changes in the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender bode well for the upcoming Netflix series, there are other alterations that the series is set to make that have the potential to negatively impact the legacy of the beloved animated series. Obviously, some changes are necessary to live-action adaptations of any TV show, anime, etc., as they provide an opportunity to illuminate the source material's themes differently. Some changes are simply unnecessary. In addition to Netflix changing the key elements of Avatar: The Last Airbender's story, itself a worrying fact to consider, they're seemingly doubling down on altering the source material's key characteristics of the series' best characters. So it's not even just Sokka, apparently, that the writers are going after and trying to make a dramatically different person. That's bad enough in and of itself, because Sokka is one of the main characters that has most of the screen time of the show. But I guess they're going after several different characters in their quest to modernize and culturally fit into all of the woke demands of the authoritarian left, most of the other characters in the series as well. It says, while some characters from the animated series like Fire Lord Ozai could benefit from changes, altering the Waterbender Sokka presents a different set of challenges altogether. Certain filler episodes can be removed to enhance the pacing of most of the live-action adaptations, but character-related changes are always a bit riskier to pull off. As seen throughout Avatar: The Last Airbender, one of Sokka's most notable traits is his unfiltered yet well-meaning personality regarding his friends and their circumstances. While Sokka's attitude ranges from brash and rude to sincere and authentic, it takes on a drastically different feeling whenever women are involved. As seen in many instances regarding his younger sister, Katara, Sokka constantly belittles her and questions her leadership, not because she's an ineffective leader, but because she's a girl, which, by the way, is literally pointed out from the very first scene of this entire show. In episode 1, the first 5 minutes, Katara and Sokka are arguing, and Sokka's making fun of her because she's his little sister, and he doesn't think that she has competency in leadership. When they find Aang in the ice, in the first 5 freaking minutes of this entire show. So how they're going to rewrite that part, I have absolutely no idea. It says, as uncomfortable as casual sexism can be, it is necessary to develop Sokka's character over time. And interestingly, when we talk about sexism, we're not talking about Sokka being like, all girls are ugly, all girls are stupid, all girls are completely incompetent and should be second-class citizens and shouldn't have any rights in society, which is probably what you're associating with the word sexism right now as I'm saying that. No, he's just saying, how could a girl be a warrior? Girls are generally better at fixing pants and boys are better at hunting and fishing. Those are actual quotes from the TV show. And here is just one snippet of what this sexism looks like in the series. It's probably not what you think it is. So this is from season 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender. They are on Kyoshi Island, and they wanted to go there because Aang wanted to have an adventure and go swimming with some of the animals that live in the sea. And they get captured because they just showed up to this island, and watch what happens.
Or we could stay a while.
You three have some explaining to do.
And if you don't answer all our questions, we're throwing you back in the water with the Unagi.
Show yourselves, cowards!
The Kyoshi warriors, absolute legends in Avatar: The Last Airbender. We love.
Who are you? Where are the men who ambushed us?
There were no men. We ambushed you. Now tell us, who are you and what are you doing here?
So his assumption that men ambushed them is rampantly sexist, apparently, and needs to be rewritten.
Wait a second, there's no way a bunch of girls took us down.
A bunch of girls, huh?
I know. My fiance said, you better not let anybody spoil this for you. No spoilers for the rest of the series. That's it. That's the sexism. There's no way a bunch of girls could have captured us and wrapped us up. That's literally the entirety of what we're talking about.
Nagi's gonna eat well tonight. No, don't hurt him. He didn't mean it. My brother's just an idiot sometimes.
It's my fault. I'm sorry we came here. I wanted to ride the elephant koi.
How do we know you're not Fire Nation spies? Kyoshi stayed out of the war so far, and we intend to keep it that way.
This island is named for Kyoshi? I know Kyoshi.
Ha! How could you possibly know her? Avatar Kyoshi was born here 400 years ago. She's been dead for centuries.
So they're celebrating a female avatar from a previous life. Long story, we won't get into all of that. And they have female warriors on this island to protect their culture and way of life. And because Sokka's immediate expectation is that men had tied him up and captured him and not women, means he's a horribly bigoted, evil sexist that must be rid from the show, at least how his character was originally written, at all costs. Or else we will never be able to fit in with modern culture.
I know her because I'm the Avatar.
That's impossible. The last Avatar was an airbender who disappeared 100 years ago.
That's me.
Spoiler, that's Aang. So that happens, right? That's just the most horrible thing anybody could say. But throughout the series, as I mentioned, from literally the first 5 minutes of this show all the way through the last episode, Sokka's entire character arc is predicated on the fact that he makes really snap judgments, largely about the incredible, strong, passionate, fearless women that surround him throughout the series, that they aren't as capable, that they aren't as strong, and he has to be corrected, sometimes not so gently, mostly by his sister Katara, and taken down a few pegs before he gains unbelievable admiration and respect and love for those women in his life. Not just his sister Katara, but Toph, who ends up becoming Aang's earthbending teacher, Princess Yue and the Northern Water Tribe, all of the Kyoshi warriors, literally example after example after example. And then that just makes me wonder if that's considered sexist and doesn't have a place in this new adaptation. The trailer looks really freaking cool. The CGI and the animation looks really freaking cool. But what are they going to do with characters that are actually evil and violent and want to kill everyone all the time? Like, I don't know, Prince Zuko or Princess Azula or the Fire Lord. Like, genuinely, if sexism is too bad and too evil, even if it's not actually sexism, but just normal teenage boy behavior, if that's outdated for your new adaptation of any TV show, what are you going to do about actual violence in your storyline? Because that's a whole lot worse than saying, there's no way that women could have tied us up. I can't. You guys, I genuinely cannot. So sadly, it's just become the latest example in a string of insanity out of Hollywood, where we take a beloved, adored, unbelievably popular movie or TV show or series that everybody fell in love with for a reason. We remake it, which sounds like a great idea because everybody's all excited about the new technology and how it's going to look and is it going to still honor the original story. And then instead of giving us what we ask for, which is quite literally a shot-for-shot remake, Hollywood, they have to adapt it and change it and literally recreate the entire storyline in the quest to update these once beloved stories for a modern adaptation when these TV shows would look completely different for today. And then blame all of us when we don't watch it because they ruined our favorite characters and they ruined our favorite episodes and they ruined the endings to our favorite stories of all time. Star Wars is maybe the most poignant example of this in the last several months, and we did a whole stream about that a few weeks ago because the new woman that Lucasfilm and Disney has hired to direct the new Star Wars trilogy. Why we are doing a trilogy after episodes 7, 8, and 9, I don't know. Why it has to make men feel uncomfortable and be focused on modern fourth wave feminism, I don't know. But as we saw on the stream a few weeks ago, this is what that woman had to say about all of it, and it royally ticked me off back then. So naturally, it's going to keep driving me insane now. This is the new director of the new Star Wars trilogy saying in an interview that her number one goal in directing these new Star Wars films is to make men, the primary fan base of Star Wars, uncomfortable with rampant feminism. No, I'm not joking.
Is the balance of activating a force for change, but also trying to permeate that patriarchy, that power structure? And is that a part of the calculation of your art as well? And what's been the reaction to that?
If anything is a patriarchy, it is Star Wars. But it's not even. But it's not. Leia. Padme. It's literally not a patriarchy, but it kind of is. But like, who the frick cares? Who cares? It is aliens in space.
Absolutely. I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable.
From the mouth of the new Star Wars director herself, I enjoy and have a goal to make men uncomfortable. Great.
Not you, just not you.
Point taken. Point taken.
But, it is important to be able to look into the eyes of a man and say, I am here, and recognize that. And recognize that I am working to bring something that makes you uncomfortable, and it should make you uncomfortable.
So me as this hyper-feminist director, I'm going to make new films that intentionally should make you uncomfortable because female characters are going to be in it. Front and center, and you need to acknowledge that and feel like you're taking a back seat to make that happen. I'm sorry, did Star Wars not already incorporate incredible, strong, fearless female characters?
Because you need to change your attitude. And it's only when you're uncomfortable, when you're shifty, when you have to have difficult conversations, that you will perhaps look at yourself in the mirror and not like the reflection. And then say, maybe there is something wrong with the way I think, or maybe there is something wrong with the way I am addressing this issue.
Somebody just said in our chat, Color Hunter, imagine if a man had said the opposite. Could you imagine if a male director of any of these film franchises or TV shows or new adaptations of old series had said, I, as a man, exist to make women feel uncomfortable by only casting male leads that embrace hyper masculinity and nothing else. That is my number one goal as a director of this movie. No, it would be right to jail right away. You would get canceled immediately. But because it's the opposite, because we live in a hyper feminist, fourth wave postmodern feminist society, that's applauded and celebrated and given promotions and opportunities to direct multi-zillion dollar blank budget film trilogies of the greatest stories of all time, probably with the sole purpose of ruining them. Because here's the thing. There's never been a shortage of incredible, strong, fearless, badass female characters in Star Wars. Has there? Ever? No! No shortage. Princess Leia, iconic. Fearless. Incredible. Padme, one of the coolest female characters of all time. Whether you like the new trilogy or not, Rey, pretty freaking cool. Pretty cool gal. Didn't need to shove feminism down our throats in order to make that known. Ahsoka Tano, maybe the greatest female character ever written in all of film and TV history, period, full stop. Nobody needed to make those characters annoying, feminist, toying the line between feminine and masculine, but really hyper-masculine characters to take up space that otherwise would be occupied by men with the sole purpose of making men uncomfortable. They were just there. They just happened to be women and also be really cool characters. What feminism is supposed to be all about. And now we are watching that same playbook unfold for maybe the most beloved child's TV show of all time coming into the adult world, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Sure, was Sokka occasionally derogatory towards women in some of his comments? Yes, which was part of his character development to turn him into a good person by the end of the series. But also, there was no shortage of incredibly strong, fearless, badass female characters in the TV show to begin with, even if a character was rude and derogatory towards them. In fact, he often had to go the hard way to acknowledge that fact has always been in existence. Katara is incredible. Her skills in battle are freaking unmatched. Toph, greatest earthbender of all time. Princess Yue literally sacrifices herself to save all of humanity. All of the Kyoshi warriors are just like unbelievably cool, fan-wielding ninja assassins, how can you even pretend like there wasn't actual feminism in this show to begin with? We don't need whatever version of feminism the world is living with today, which, let's face it, let's be honest, is far more about promoting the interests of men pretending to be women than actual biological women in order to make the show better. The show was already incredible and showed wonderful examples of strong female lead characters without any change to the script, to the characters in development, etc. So here is my imparting message on all of the Hollywood executives of the world. You ruined Star Wars. We're looking at you. Thank you for that. I'm still crying myself to sleep over it. You're presumably in the pathway of destroying Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live-action remake. There are countless other examples of you doing this. Listen to me loud and clear when I say this, as someone who quite literally is obsessed in an unhealthy degree with Harry Potter and has been for her entire life, for as long as she can remember. If you come for the Harry Potter HBO TV show adaptation to try to turn it into a woke, postmodern version of maybe the greatest show, TV series, whatever you want to call it, movie, obviously, but saga, story of all time, if you try to make the argument to me that Harry and Ron are these horribly sexist people that need to be rewritten and the whole story at large is just problematic and is really derogatory towards Hermione, who might be the greatest female character of all time, I will come unglued. My head will explode. I will go full Voldemort on you people. Slytherin house will have my allegiance now. And I'm literally not even joking. If you ruin the greatest storyline of all time, trying to make it fit in with your insane demands for culture that none of us are on board with, only you in your little Hollywood bubble are on board with, I will go full Voldemort. Okay? And you all are welcome to take that pledge with me, because I will riot in the streets. That will be the last straw for me. So the question is, chat, are you going to watch this Avatar: The Last Airbender? I really want to. I really want to. The CGI, the animation, all of it looks incredible, and I am loving the animated series now that I'm watching it all the way through as one story for the first time now. So I really want to watch a live-action version of it because it's fun to imagine what that's going to look like. But do you think they're really going to ruin the story that much? I mean, presumably. I don't know. Are you guys even going to watch it? A bunch of people on my Instagram reel said, no, there's no way. No way I'm watching that. Dave says I absolutely am watching it. All right. Will says, if Avatar: The Last Airbender gets ruined because Sokka gets remade, I will lose it. Well, they're telling us he's getting remade, so I guess we're all set to lose it. Francesca says the animation is going to be crazy. E. Lundy says, as long as they actually make the whole series and don't give up halfway through, I will watch it. Unfearless says they're not going to ruin it. Louder Jeff says, meh, not sure. No! Lady Dakini just put a horrible image in my mind. Harry is going to become Harriet in the new Harry Potter because the protagonist needs to be female. If you trans Harry Potter, I can't. No. Justice for Harry is all I'm saying. Sean says, I'm still going to give this show a watch. Rami says, I feel really sad for the upcoming generations. Yeah, me too, because the larger part of this problem is not just that they're ruining our favorite series and our favorite movies and our favorite books. It's that they're taking away any process of human growth and development in any of our favorite stories. Ask any writer of a book, of a TV show, of a play, of a manuscript, for anything. A character needs to have flaws. A character needs to have hurdles to overcome and changes to make in their personality to make them interesting at all. Think about what happened in Game of Thrones when they literally led us on this wild goose chase of the most intense character development I've ever seen in Jaime Lannister, and then just threw it all in the toilet in the very last few episodes, which negated all of the process of that. That's basically what they're doing. But skipping to that at the very beginning, skipping to the end process of ruining any character development at the very beginning because they're demanding every character be perfect on day one, on page one, on episode one, on the first 5 minutes of any movie. There's no interest, there's no intrigue, there's no development to a story if everybody has to be perfect the entire time. That sounds like the most boring existence to ever happen. It sounds like The Giver, actually, is what it sounds like, come to life right before our very eyes. There can be no bad. There can be no questionable. There can be no, I wish I had overcome that, or challenges, or struggle. And because of that, you also can't have the opposite. You can't have goodness. You can't have joy. You can't have growth. You can't have passion or curiosity. So we're all just meh. Sad, beige, androgynous, emotionless characters existing, floating in the wind, which is not a world that personally I want to live in. I'm going to be wrestling with this for a while. I hope that I still end up watching this show because I really, really do want to watch. But it's just not one of those things, sadly, that I'm feeling that excited about. We'll update you guys for more once it comes out February 22nd. All right, as promised, we're going to come back to the serious stuff like the complete mental incompetency of our president and why he's not senile enough to give up the presidency of the United States, but he's too senile to be charged with a crime, and reacting to some of the best clips from the Tucker Putin interview on Monday on the stream at 3 p.m. Eastern. Lots of exciting announcements to share with you next week on all things book tour and getting a free signed copy of my book as well. So come back and join us for that. Before you go, please do me a huge favor if you haven't already and smash that follow or subscribe button wherever you guys are watching to make sure you never miss one of our streams or videos. So grateful for each and every one of you, and have a fan-freaking-tastic weekend.